Hello and welcome to the Biokinetic K9. I hope you are enjoying your day enormously. We are going to be talking about working with high drive dogs in conditioning. This is quite an interesting thing because with what I do, and I work with a lot of dogs in IGP, we are working with high drive dogs, and it is sometimes difficult. Sometimes the handlers are like, oh my word, Angela, this dog, I can't even. And I have that same problem too. But you learn to work through it. And there are some tips and tools and tricks that can help you get through. Because conditioning is very, very similar to IGP training or sport training. They are they're both a training concept. But your mindset when it comes to conditioning training compared to training for your sport is very different. Annika, hello, how are you? Welcome. So before we go into this, let me just introduce myself. My name is Angela Ahern. I'm the founder of the Biokinetic K9, and welcome to our live session. We do conditioning for dogs to make them stronger and fitter for sport or for just everyday well-being. So let's get into it. When it comes to training for our high drive dogs, so like I said, when we train on the field, we want the dogs to be in drive and we want them to work. But when it comes to even in sports, but when it comes to conditioning in particular, sometimes I get told my dog is bouncing off the walls. We can't keep them calm. Cheryl, hello! Awesome that you're here. So when we're talking about bouncing off the walls, what are we talking about? Is your dog amped for conditioning training? Is it excited for conditioning training? High drive performance dogs are awesome. They're fun to work with, especially for sport, because they're out there, they're going, they're doing their thing. This is what we're looking for, and this is what they are bred for, that their willingness to work. But sometimes when that drive goes a little bit too much, it's the same as your own brain. It happens to me very, very often, where your brain is there's too much information. And your brain is going in overdrive and the revs are out there in the red. You can focus on nothing. Your brain is going, but there's zero focus. And when this happens to the dog, you can see it. Their pupils are big. They got this big smile on their face. And they're looking at you like this. And if you got your equipment out there, they're jumping over the equipment. Their pupils are wide. Their mouths are wide. Their feet are all over the place. And it's quite dangerous because as they're going over the equipment and they're not watching where their foot placement is, they can easily hurt themselves. Everything is non-targeted. They're not thinking about what they're doing. And we want to prevent this whole bouncing off the wall things. It's all fine and well that you do it out in the field because the dog can go run. There's the field, he can go run and come back and we can start working again. But we can't do that if you are working in a small space or small area. And many times people can't do conditioning on the field because that's where the dogs are doing their training. That's what they're used to. The field, that's their arousal level alone. And so they will try and do their conditioning into a room or their backyard. But if your dog is bouncing off the walls, it's very difficult to get them to concentrate on what they need to do. But now we have to ask ourselves, is the dog in drive, or where is his arousal level? So when we're talking about drive is about that energy or that willingness of your dog to work. He's like, there, he's awake, he's there for you, come, let's go attitude. That's what we're looking for. So we want that with all things, because if the drive is too low, the dog is also like, oh, really? You're busy with that now? That's lovely. It's got nothing to do with me. You don't want that in a dog. You want them to go, oh, what you doing? Let's get going. Let me see let me help you with this. What can I do? That's what you want, that thinking ability. So drive is that energy to work. But when that energy is too high, then we have got a problem. And the energy is at an arousal level. How awake is your dog? Your dog is there. So arousal is a side effect of your drive state in your dog. And different dogs have different states of arousal when they are in drive. Each dog is different. I see it in all of my dogs. Too much arousal is when there's no thinking happening. It's like when you're at your computer and you've got 52 tabs open at the top. This is me. So there's so many things you can't focus on one thing. You're busy running around getting nothing done. So when there's too much happening in your dog's brain, there's no thinking that's happening. And so if there's no thinking that's happening, how is he going to even focus on what you have to ask him to do? If you're asking him to just move one foot, how is he even going to think, oh, I've got a foot? Nothing is going to happen. There's just no thinking. And so what happens is the dogs will pick up on certain things. So say now if you just point to a platform, it's like, oh, platform, not about let's just put our front feet on it. No, there's a platform. It runs, dives, the platform moves, everything slides around the place. That's not helping you at all. So the dog is almost manic in his arousal, and you'll see it sometimes. They're panting heavily, they're licking their lips, they're just not focusing. They'll do anything else except what you're asking, sniffing, scratching, avoiding an exercise. They are overly aroused. It's sometimes if we have to work on something and we don't quite understand it, or we've got lots of things on our mind and the task is just a little bit too difficult for us to do, then we will sometimes procrastinate by doing anything else than focusing on small bites of the task. Same thing happens with the dog. They just can't zone into what you have to ask them to do. And there could be various reasons for this. So when you're asking him to do a conditioning exercise and they are not ready for that exercise yet, this can also happen. Or if you're asking them to do much, over-arousal can happen. So over-arousal can happen in conditioning where we need a dog to be just in a calm state, open-minded, where he can think and use his body. It's not about big excitement. It's about, oh, this is fun. Let's do this and work our body and work the muscles. That is what we need to try and achieve in our conditioning. It's not like when we are training for a sport out in the field. And us as a handler, we have to wear a different hat. It's not about, oh, big excitement. Yes, look at you can do this. Come let, and we get them to fuss next to us, or we get them to jump, or we get them to go and fight the helper. It's a completely different state of mind that we're asking our dog to be in. And how can we help our dogs achieve the state of mind where they are interested in what we're doing, but they're not bouncing off the walls? How do we get them into that medium to medium low state of drive? So we don't want them low where this is boring and we don't want to do it, but we don't want them to be overly high where they can't think. How do we get them just in that medium state of drive where their brain is open enough to take in information, to process information, and to think about what they're doing? So there's a few easy, quick things that you can do. And number one is organize your space. So this sometimes is very difficult if you don't have a space for your conditioning, or if your only space available is something that the dog associates with, oh, we're going to go run and chase a ball. So if you use your backyard always for throwing a ball and playing with your dog, and now you want to go do conditioning in that space, the dog is going to have a hard time settling down, because what happened to the ball throwing? Why aren't you throwing the ball? Why aren't we doing things? And he's going to try and push you to get to what he knows. And that can take him over the top. So you want to organize your space. And you can do this by putting away extra toys that may be lying around, their favorite ball, their tug, all of these things. Or if you've got other dogs, I have to do this. I have to put away my other dogs. I've seen videos where people have taught their dogs to lie patiently and wait for their turn. I'm still to get there. It's not working with my dogs. I've tried all the methods. And when I've got some success in that, I will let you know. But in the meantime, I've got to put my dogs away. And you know what happens? My dogs know that when they get put away, when they come out, it's their turn and they can do their exercises and they go over the top. And I've got to bring them down into a place where they can think. So put away the extra toys, the extra dogs, and any extra equipment you may have. So some people have got bite sleeves lying around and the dog will go, oh, you want me to put my feet over here, but there's a bite sleeve over there. Are you insane? So put all of these things away. So there's no extra sensory connection with the eyes of what's going on. They can go, oh, nothing much happening here. And you are then able to get their attention onto you. So check your own emotions. Are you in a state where you can actually ask your dog to do things calmly? Are you in a rush? Are you late for something and you've got to go out? That's not going to help your dog. If you are rushing, your dogs are sentient beings. They can really tell what's going on with you emotionally. And in a lot of dog training, I do it. I use a lot of emotion in my dog training for my sport. And it works. That's why I use it. So I always say you got to be somewhat of a psychopath. Regardless of how you're feeling, you got to be in the right state of emotion for the dog to get the task done. The same when it comes to conditioning. Are you in the right frame of mind? If you've got to rush out quickly or you're running out of time, don't do much with your dog. Your brain, your own brain is not there and focused on the task at hand. How do you expect your dog to be there also? So make sure your own emotion is calm and relaxed and you are wanting to do this. It affects your dog. It affects my dog. If you're in a rush, everything will go badly. I promise. I speak from experience. Don't go there. So organize your space when it comes to the space where your dog is going to be working, and the space in your own brain. Once you've got that, then you can transfer that idea to your dog because your dog feels your emotions. So if you calm, it starts to rub off. And when it starts to rub off, remember to reward your dog just for being calm. So many people forget this very important part. If your dog is really calm, you can go, oh, wow, look at you. That is so nice, and reward them. They love it. They sap it up. But then watch your reward. Don't go, oh, wow, you're so calm. Look at you, and get them excited again. Sam, hello. Let me see what you're saying here. I've always said that you need to be emotionally not normal to train your dog right. Oh, my word. That is truer than you know. And emotionally not normal is not a bad thing. It's exciting. It's a little bit different. Emotionally not normal. You 100%, you've hit the nail on the head. But then when your dog is giving you that right display of emotion, he's waiting for you and he's calm. Reward him. Stroke calmly. Praise with offer a treat, but calmly. Don't throw it up in the air because that will get them to snap and jump and get them excited again. Just give it calmly. It's a little bit boring, but it's a good thing. You show them that you're pleased with your voice, with how you speak. Not this, oh my word, none of that. Keep nice and calm. You must see some of my videos in my program. I am looking like I'm a wet drip. I'm so boring, but it keeps my dogs nice and calm. They're happy to work with me. So calmness must be rewarded. Don't just tell your dog to calm down and leave it at that. If he's calm, show him that this is what you want. This is what you approve of. Don't be shy to reward that calmness. And then get your dog to have an interaction with you, not with the surroundings, not with the equipment that's out there. Sometimes people will be working with a peanut and dogs love to bounce with the peanut. It's not about being on the equipment. Or they'll go and they put their pause on the equipment because that's where they get rewarded. No, you want them to be rewarded because they are watching you. They are out there, they're listening to you, they are focusing on you. They have an interaction with you. That's what you want. Because then you can ask them to do things, because then they're listening. They all their attention is on you, not the equipment. If they are interacting with you, reward that focus on you. It's exactly with your training out there in the fields in whatever sport. Whether you're doing agility, IGP, doesn't matter. You want the dog to watch you for instruction. Reward that attention on you. You see how your conditioning can actually make your training that much more powerful. Because it's really calm. The dog's in a state of thinking. That's what we're working on, to get them in that state of thinking and moving their body with purpose. But in order to do that, they have to be in the mindset where they can take in information, and you are praising and rewarding for that. And for them to take in information, they need to watch you, and you're praising and rewarding for that. So when the dog sees the equipment and it means more arousal, get them to focus on you, call them back to you, and then reward them for coming back to you, not just running to the equipment. You want them to warm up their body with you. This is going to help you with your warm-ups out there on the field, getting the focus on you so that they are knowing what they need to do. They're waiting for what you have to say. You become really important in their lives. Any movement is good as long as it is with you. That's what you want. So praise that interaction with you. And again, of course, praise calmly. Don't throw up the food because you're going to destroy all the calmness that you've achieved. So how you deliver your reward with calm strokes or with food from the hand, not flipping it up. That's what you want. So you want your dog to have interaction with you. And then when you are starting, start with short sessions. Short sessions are really important because the degree of focus and how the brain can concentrate is a trained concept. Focus and attentiveness becomes more better and clearer when it is trained, when you know how to do it, when you've trained your brain. The brain is a muscle. You need to be able to work it. And focus gets longer and longer the more you practice it. So you see how your conditioning adds to your training. It's so cool. So start with short sessions because focus is trained. You lower the arousal level, and that lowered arousal level to a point of thinking. Purposeful thinking is trained. You don't lower the arousal level to absolute boredom. You lower it to thinking, excited thinking. This is trained. Break up the session into small, calming bits and pieces. So with my dog, the male starts off really excited, and then we calm him down. And as he gets his exercises correct, he gets excited, and then we calm him down again. We break up, and then we start going again. Every time we start, he's excited. With the female, she starts and she's got this whole attitude of, don't worry, Angela, I've got this, and she's there. And then as we progress, her arousal level goes up. She becomes really insistent. She starts to really grab the food. She wants it, and she's pushy and persistent. She wants the food, and then we have to bring her back down. So each dog and how they go through their levels of arousal to calm thinking, we understand, and movements to the whole whirring in the brain starts to go off the charts, happens differently with different dogs. Watch your dogs. So break up your session into small calming bits, because as you train and as you go further along, those training sessions can then extend a little bit further as the dog becomes fitter and the brain becomes more adept at remaining focused, because arousal levels can become worse with fatigue. How many of us, when we are tired, have got no ability to think through anything, and we've become short and snappy with people? We can't think, we can't focus because we are physically tired and or we are mentally tired. The same thing happens with your dog. So you keep your sessions short to start, because their body is going to get tired as you work the body, and as they're concentrating on what they have to do, their brain is going to get tired, and their brain is going to become more and more, it's going to become more and more difficult for them to cope with the situation. And sometimes the coping skill shows in a form of over-arousal, jumping around, distracting behaviors. So keep your sessions short. And then choose your rewards carefully. So when I talk about rewarding your dog, what are you going to reward him with? Food or toys? It depends on the dog. Some dogs have got a low arousal level, and you need to get them to move their butts a bit so that they can do something, and then you need a little bit of a toy or in between exercises to bring them out of that intense concentration. And then you just need to play and break that a bit, bring out a toy, and then play with them, and then bring them back into calmness. So it all depends on the dog. So choose your reward mechanism carefully. Some dogs just need to be patted and stroked carefully. Some dogs need food delivery to the mouth, from the hand to the mouth. So my dog will bite my fingers. I have to give it in a cupped hand, and then he will take it calmly, or the whole thing. And of course, different size dogs are different because, well, yes, the size of the mouth and the teeth are different. So you're going to be watching how you deliver. If you are going to throw up the toy, they learn to snap and grab. Sometimes dogs just need to be rewarded on the floor. Learn what is best for your dog. Many times we have to reward them in the position that they are in. And don't be afraid if they're doing something and they've done it really well. It's not just one kibble or one cookie for what they've done. Sometimes they deserve 5 because, oh my word, you did such a good job. Here, have a couple of treats. That's how it works. So what's your reward choice and how you deliver it to them? So sometimes you need to get them a little bit more excited. Sometimes you need to bring them down in their arousal level. Keep your dog under the threshold of over-arousal. That means that you will have more success with your conditioning exercises. Each dog is different. So your behavior transfers to your focus in your sport, your behavior and how you can control your dog's drive and arousal levels in conditioning will definitely transfer positively in your sport. It is just like awesome. You're doing all of these things and they're getting their body stronger and fitter, and you can then transfer all of that information onto your sport, and your sport explodes. It's great. So always you want to manage your dog's thinking ability, because if you can manage their thinking ability, you improve their ability to learn new things, because they can think things through. They're not panicking. They're not over the top. If you are in a calm state of mind, you can think. And then if you can think, you can have a better connection with your dog, because your dog's watching you. They are learning from you. They're looking at your body language. They're looking at your expression. A lot of times I will just smile at my dog. I don't even have to say anything. If I make my eyes big, my dog goes, wow, she's excited about what I'm doing. That's awesome. When your dog has got better connection with you and they've got better ability to learn something new, automatically their understanding of something increases. And as soon as the dog understands something, immediately their speed and ability to do that something improves and increases. That transfers to your training. Better understanding causes better speed of a movement. That transfers to your training. That's just awesome. So You'll have better speed and better accuracy of a task. It is essential when working through complex tasks that these things happen. So when you're working on really complex movements, when it comes to conditioning and you want the dog to be able to move the body in a particular manner, where just the top half needs to work at a 90-degree angle and then to be controlled back down into a sit, for example. You want that control. It's a complex task for a dog to understand to move feet in different directions. We start out with any conditioning exercise by training small, reachable movements of the body. So we always break down highly complex tasks into smaller tasks. And we start with the smaller tasks, just like in training, and you bring them together to create this big complex task. That is why when we take our exercises, our exercises in conditioning, we start with smaller things, just foot placements on a board, for example, before we ask them to have all 4 placement on a board, and then to stretch the boards, and then to put placements on raised boards and raised platforms, and then stretch the body. We first ask them for small tasks. So when people ask, what can I do to strengthen whatever area of a dog, there's various stages that you have to go through before you can actually give them the exercise, so that your dog knows not only how to do the exercise, but how to position the body. What is the form we are looking for, and what is the posture that body must be in order to target the correct muscles. So we break down that big exercise into smaller tasks so that when the dog does that big exercise, the body knows exactly what to do, and we are targeting those correct muscles. So we bring those smaller tasks together and put them together in your conditioning. So you first train smaller tasks, then you train their exercise. And once a dog understands the exercise, you work on your posture and your technique and your form. And once you've got all of those, you work on your conditioning exercises and then your conditioning program. It's not just do this exercise. The dog's got to learn it. The dog's got to learn the posture. And while the dog is learning it, the body has got to become strong enough to perform that movement correctly. So really important. When you're working all of these things, remember that when you're working on the focus of the dog, that focus will mirror his performance. And when he gets the focus right and the performance right, the results come out in the body of the dog. And then you are starting to achieve your goals in your conditioning program. This is so important. So if the arousal level is too low, or if the arousal level is too high, you're going to have low performance levels. The dog is not interested in thinking, or the dog is too high to think. So find your dog's threshold. That threshold is really important. Find it. It's different for every dog. Find out how you can achieve it and how you can maintain it, when you need to take a break and when you can come back to working your dog. So that threshold will vary with your dog, but it will also vary with the complexity of the task. So always remember to start simply, because you wanted that dog to engage all the time. You don't want him to shy away from a task, or you don't want to correct him and say, no, no, no. You don't want to keep on with the no's. It's so demoralizing. I don't even like it. So start simply and build the dog. The same with the arousal level, the same with the learning, the same with everything that you have to do with the dog. Start simply. And then you're going to have lots of little successes which equal like a huge success. That's what you want. So, of course, that is in our strength program, which is open. Please go take a look at it. If you have any questions about our strength program, let me know. The cart is open. There is an early bird access coupon code. Please use it so that you can get in. It's got instant access. We've got everything there for you. The program is there. Let me just see if I can get this information for you so that you can go take a look at it. If you have any questions about it, pop me an email. I'm happy to answer you and answer any questions that you may have. Let me just put it over here for you. There we go. So if you're doing any conditioning training, whether it be our strength program, whether it be any conditioning program, even any program that a physio or a rehab professional gives you, make sure that your dog's arousal levels are at a stage where they can think and concentrate on what they're doing. If you're doing rehab, you really need them to think. If they're too excited, they will just re-injure themselves. So some of these things will really help you, and it will help you achieve your goals when it comes to conditioning. So remember that you can organize your space where you're going to train, not only the equipment that you're going to use, but also the